The rooftop of Hailtech Tower was quiet except for the soft clinking of a crystal glass and the low hum of the city far below. The sky above New York was a canvas of bruised purple and gold, the last kiss of a sunset surrendering to night. On the 67th floor, under a halo of fairy lights, stood Claire Hale, the youngest female CEO in the city's history, wrapped in power, grace, and secrets. Tonight was not just another business gala. It was her birthday. But instead of the usual champagne toasts and shallow compliments, Claire had decided to do something unpredictable. A chessboard was set at the center of the rooftop, its pieces made of silver and obsidian. Claire stood beside it in a black satin dress, heels clicking against the marble floor. She wasn't looking for a man, at least, not in the way the world expected. She was looking for something real. Someone who wouldn't be intimidated by her wealth or power. Someone who could challenge her mind, and perhaps her heart. So, she made an announcement, half in jest, half in defiance of her own loneliness. "Beat me in chess, and I'll marry you." Laughter erupted from the crowd. Her board members, investors, and tech giants raised their glasses in amusement. No one took her seriously, no one dared to. Until a man in a faded gray suit stepped forward, holding the hand of a young girl. He was tall, slightly disheveled, and wore a janitor's name tag, James Turner. Gasps whispered through the rooftop. Who invited him? Claire's brows lifted with curiosity, not mockery. "Are you here to play," she asked, "or to clean?" James looked her in the eyes and replied calmly, "Maybe both. But I heard your offer, and I'd like to try." The crowd tensed. Some chuckled nervously. Others waited to see how Claire would respond. With a smile both amused and intrigued, she gestured toward the chair across from her. "All right, janitor. Let's see what you've got." His daughter, Lily, no older than 8, stood nearby with wide eyes and a backpack that looked far too heavy for her small frame. She whispered something to him before he nodded gently and kissed her forehead. The game began. Claire opened with the Queen's Gambit, confident and fluid. James countered with quiet precision. Move after move, he surprised her, not with flashy brilliance, but with a calm, resilient strategy. His play wasn't aggressive, it was patient, like someone who'd learned how to endure. 20 minutes in, Claire realized she wasn't just playing a janitor. She was playing a father. And every piece he moved felt like a page in a story she hadn't read yet. "You're good," she said finally, leaning forward. "I've had time to practice," he replied. "Between janitorial work and raising a child alone?" she asked lightly. James looked up. "You'd be surprised how much you can learn when life doesn't give you shortcuts." For a moment, the rooftop faded. The murmurs, the wealth, the glimmering skyline, it all blurred into silence as Claire studied him. There was something in his eyes. Not desperation. Not ambition. Just depth. The kind that comes from nights spent fixing school projects after cleaning bathrooms. The kind that comes from holding your daughter while she cries because she misses her mom. And then, something unexpected happened. Claire made a mistake. A small one, but in chess, even small mistakes cost dearly. James didn't pounce. He paused. He looked at her, then at the board, and then back at his daughter, who was watching nervously from the side. He moved a different piece. A safer one. A gentler one. Claire stared at him, stunned. "You could have won." He didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "I didn't come here to win a game. I came here to show my daughter that kindness can still live in the world, even when it costs you everything." Silence fell like snow. Even the most hardened investors felt the shift. Claire leaned back in her chair, heart pounding, not from losing, but from feeling something real for the first time in years. "You would have had me," she whispered. James smiled, stood up, and took his daughter's hand. "But I never wanted to have you," he replied. "Not like that. As he turned to leave, the girl waved shyly at Claire. Claire waved back, her throat tight. The next morning, headlines read, CEO loses to janitor in rooftop chess match, but the real story never made the news. What happened afterward changed everything. Claire couldn't stop thinking about them. She had her assistants find his file. James Turner. Widowed. Former chess instructor before layoffs pushed him into janitorial work. No complaints. No lawsuits. No ambitions filed. Just a man trying to stay afloat with a daughter he clearly adored. She showed up 2 days later at his building, not in heels, but in sneakers and a hoodie. She knocked on the door herself. Lily opened it. "Are you the chess lady?" she asked. Claire laughed, then nodded. James appeared behind her, stunned. "I didn't come to offer marriage," she said softly. "I came to offer something better." She offered him a job. Not charity, a role as Director of Strategic Training at Hale Tech, designing logic-based programs for interns and young leaders. His passion for teaching, his calm under pressure, his deep thinking, it was everything she'd been missing in her cold, numbers-only world. He accepted. Reluctantly. Only after Claire agreed to add an in-office child care program for single parents like him. Months passed. The company flourished under his quiet guidance. Employees felt human again. Claire laughed more. The boardroom felt warmer. And chess. It became a tradition. Every Friday evening, Claire and James played on the same rooftop. One day, she asked again, but this time, not in jest. "If you beat me, I'll marry you." James chuckled, that line again. She looked up, this time serious. "No tricks. No spotlight. Just us." He looked at the board. Then at her. "Then I resign," he said, knocking his king over gently. She froze. "Why?" He stepped around the table, took her hands in his, and whispered. "Because I already have what I want." In a world obsessed with winning, sometimes the greatest move is the one made for love, not victory. Claire didn't marry James because he beat her in chess, but because he taught her what it meant to lose gracefully, to lead with compassion, and to live with heart. And for James Turner, the janitor who could have been king, he found a queen who finally saw him. Not for what he did, but for who he was.